In this video, we're going to use the Properties Inspector panel and also the Transform panel to move our photos around and position them. Now again, I'm going to go off of the book a little bit just for time's sake. And I want to choose one of the photos, this first one that's on top. Okay, and one of the things that you'll notice is that I've chosen the photo, and you'll notice in the bottom here, okay, immediately I have the set of frames on the timeline selected. Okay, these are my frames, and in the Properties Inspector I've got the photo selected, and it will tell me some information. It says that it is a bitmap. It will always tell you whatever you have selected, it'll tell you what it is. Okay, this is an instance of photo 4, meaning that I have the photo actually in the library, and there's an instance of it on the stage, which means basically it's a copy of that picture. And we can always swap those out for other pictures that are in the library. I don't want to do that. But you'll also notice in the Property Inspector we have position and size. Okay, I can reduce the size if I want to, and its position. This is the X and Y position on the stage according to the upper left corner. Always upper left corner, keep that in mind. The height and width of my photo is 400 pixels by 500 pixels. And if I want to resize it, you have like a little keychain here. We can lock the width and height so that if we change anything, then its ratio will stay the same. You want to keep the ratios the same. There's nothing worse than stretching or squashing pictures or text. As designers, the sure sign of an amateur is to stretch and squash your images or your text. Okay, there's certain instances where we do it, but you have to have a reason for that. Okay, so you've noticed though that I have hovered over the height, and I have a little icon change there with the little gripper hand with the finger, and it's got two arrows. We can click on the number. These are hot numbers or hotkeys, and we can click and drag in a direction, and okay, those numbers change. And notice both of them change because I've clicked that chain icon so that they're the same ratio. Okay. So either one, if I change those, then it's going to make a difference this way. Okay. Whatever you do with pictures or anything that you bring into the stage that is like a bitmap picture, that type of thing, to make something much bigger, you run the risk of being able to see the pixels. So you want pictures and assets that are big enough, okay, to start with, because otherwise our pictures become pixelated. Okay, I want to position it off to the side. In fact, I want to do that with the very first picture. Oh, guess what? It's underneath here. So if I select the frame here for my picture, and you notice I don't have that last picture up there any longer. Okay, so I want to have this first picture selected, and I'm going to move the X position, move it to the side, clicking and dragging, or you can type in a number, although I don't exactly know where I want to put it. Okay, and if I want to move it up or down, I can do the same thing. Well, I could click and drag the picture itself, and those numbers will move around. It's kind of fun to do it by the X and Y. Then you can be more accurate. Another thing I want to do is rotate the picture. And that means that it's a transformation. Anytime that you want to resize something, rotate it, or distort it by skewing it, or we do have some 3D movements, then that is a transformation. The most common is resizing it and rotating it. And I want to rotate that. So currently the rotation, it's at 0 degrees. And if I click and drag that as well, or click on the number and type in some number, okay? I can always type in a degree if I want to be exact. Let's say 10 degrees and press enter, and it's a positive direction, meaning clockwise is the positive direction. Okay, in this case I want to go the other way, so I do like clicking and dragging. Let's see if we can get that to look like the picture in the book. Alright, let's move on to the next photo. I could click on the layer, and that also can select whatever I have here on the stage. But the problem with that is if I select the layer, okay, then what happens is, if you notice in the properties here, I've got the frame selected. That means I have the frame in the timeline. So the properties flips back and forth depending on what you have selected. Okay, and in this case, I have the frames selected. I also have the picture selected, but down here, alright, at this point where it starts. So I just want to click on one frame or the picture itself, and you'll notice the properties goes back to that. Now, I like the position of this just about. I want to move it, okay, and going back into the transformation, rotate that a little bit forward. Okay, I want to see those pictures. Alright, let's do another one. We move along the timeline, selecting the next frame that the picture is on. Okay, and we'll move that down a little bit, and again, rotating it. Okay, and I'm noticing there's going to be a little bit of a problem. Okay, and selecting my last one, and I want to move that and rotate it. Okay, as I'm scrubbing along, then each picture is, removing itself. Okay, so why would that be? Well, that's because I don't have these pictures extended all the way down to the timeline. So I'm going to fix that right now. Let's go ahead and click and drag across the empty frames at the end of where the background and the last picture stop. Right click and insert frame, and what that does is fills in the frames. So now, if I scrub through, then the pictures are being added to the stage as we go along. Okay.